Welcome back to Culinary Arts. As always, I'm Chef TKO, and today I'm going to go ahead and show you a buttered flaky crust for our pumpkin pie, okay? Last video, we went ahead and learned how to make the pumpkin puree. Super simple. All you've got to do is just sprinkle some salt on it, make sure it's cleaned out, cook it at 400 degrees, and for about 45-60 minutes, peel off the back, add a little bit of water in the processor or blender, and go ahead and puree it. That's it. Then we set it aside, okay? We will not be utilizing that until tomorrow's video, okay, which will be Wednesday. So today I'm gonna go ahead and switch you over to my prep area, and I'm gonna teach you how to make an actual flaky buttered pie crust, okay? Now there's a few methods that we're gonna be using. There's a few things that we need to make sure about, all right? One, we need to make sure that our butter is super, super, super cold, okay? So unfortunately with myself, I have very hot hands, so I will be going back and forth with my butter, pulling it in, taking it out of my refrigerator, okay? Because I do wanna make sure that stays cold, all right? Next, we've also got chilled ice water to go ahead and put in that. And then we've got our flour, just 3 ingredients, right? That's it. A little bit of salt if you must, but I am using salted butter, so that's gonna go ahead and suffice for that, all right? I'm gonna go ahead and take you right over to the prep area and we'll go from there. At first, I do wanna go ahead and mention that I do have my oven preheated at 375 degrees. The reason I am doing that is because I do want to par cook my crust, okay? So before we get into that, I will go ahead, I've got everything already measured out, so you will see, if you can, I've got 1 1/4 of a cup of flour. It is not sifted. It doesn't matter if it's sifted. This isn't a cake, okay? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna then take my butter and I'm gonna cut it inside of my flour. Go ahead and think of it like frying some chicken. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and toss this in there, and I'm gonna take it and I'm gonna squish it in between my phalanges, right? And I'm just gonna keep going and keep going. If you have seen or heard of cornmeal, hopefully you've seen of it, the consistency that we're looking for this is gonna be the consistency of cornmeal, okay? This can take a little bit. It will hurt your phalanges. It'll, you know, it is what it is, but it is so worth it in the end. One thing I forgot to mention is that I have cubed all of my butter, so they're in good cubes, okay? So we went ahead and did 1 1/4 cup of flour, and I've got 3/4 of a cup of butter. So I'm gonna continue to go ahead and mix this through my fingers and go ahead and cut this in, if you will. All right, just like so. And we're gonna keep going. The size that we're looking for are little pea chunks, PEA. We're not looking for anything much bigger than that, all right? So we're just gonna keep going and just running it straight through, just like that, see? All right, I'm gonna go ahead and fast forward for a moment, so just give us a quick second, and then by the time that we get back, I should have this almost together. All right, it has been a few minutes now, but I went ahead and incorporated all my butter into my flour, and I'm gonna go ahead and show you what that looks like. So as you can see right here, I've got everything incorporated. Kind of looks like fine cornmeal. You'll see that I have a few extra big pieces, but that's okay because like I said previously, my hands do stay warm. This is okay because I'm gonna show you something. As long as we can clump it together where it's almost in its form, that's perfect, all right? Perfect. Now, what I'm gonna go ahead and do is I'm gonna break this right back up. I'm gonna take my hands right off. And what I want to do is I wanna go ahead and knead it. Now, right now it's a little sticky. So I wanna knead it, not too much, just enough to where it forms a ball, but it's still a little flaky. So as you can see, I went ahead and powdered my surface. And I'm gonna go ahead and before I do that, I almost missed a step. I've got ice water, and then I've got an empty measuring cup, okay? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and pour 1/4 of a cup, or a little bit, to go ahead and incorporate that into my mixture here. I'm gonna put that in. I am then gonna go ahead and smush that around because that is gonna be some of my liquid, and you will now see that it is going to finally form a nice, beautiful ball, right? So that being said, see how sticky this is? Super sticky. A lot of it has to do with the melted butter and my warm hands, but it doesn't mean that we can't get it fixed. okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and set this bowl aside, and I'm gonna place this right in the middle on a floured surface. I'm gonna remove the excess from my phalanges, because, you know, why not? I will let you know that this recipe does, it is for a 9-inch size pie, okay? Now I'm gonna go ahead and put the flour on my hands. Gonna go ahead and put a little bit on there. We don't want a lot because we really don't want to overwork it. I'm gonna go ahead and knead the dough, folding down, twisting to the side, folding down, twisting to the side, folding down, twisting to the side. And I'm gonna keep doing this until it's very well incorporated, okay? Now you can see that it's not as sticky, see? Thumbs up. That's what we're looking for. But I just want it to be a little bit more together rather than it being so flaky. We're gonna still have it flaky, just not as much, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and take that, put just a little bit more. I don't want those little chunks. It's hard to get those little chunks back in. So I'm gonna go and just knead it very nicely. This dough is very soft. You will notice that when we start making pasta dough, it's gonna be completely different, okay? Now, this is actually looking right where I want it to be. I'm just gonna go ahead and incorporate a little bit more flour. And this, to me, honestly, is gonna be beautiful. It is nice, it's still flaky, you can see the flakes on it, but it holds together very well, and it's not sticky whatsoever. So what I'm gonna go ahead and do is, since this is for one 9-inch pie, I'm gonna go ahead and put it into a 1-inch round disc. I will then wrap it tightly in cellophane or plastic wrap, and I'm gonna refrigerate this for 2 hours, okay? We'll be right back, and we'll go ahead and roll it out. Doesn't seem like that long for you, but it's been 2 hours for me. So I'm gonna go ahead and take you back to the prep area, and I'm gonna show you what we have. All right, so this is our chilled dough. You can see that it's very rock hard. So what I'm gonna go ahead and do is I'm gonna go ahead and lightly just get it nice and floured like normal. All right, and it's super solid. Why is it solid? All the butter that we have. So I'm gonna go ahead and take my rolling pin, I'm gonna put some flour on it, and I'm gonna go ahead and just kind of get it right to where I wanna go. After each full turn, after each full roll, you're gonna wanna turn it and keep doing that to get the desired size that we're looking for, right? All right, occasionally flip it. And I'm gonna keep going. Since we're doing a 9-inch pie crust, I'm looking for about 12 inches, okay? Because I will have to cut this off, and that's okay. You can see that it's a lot harder, only because of the butter. But this is gonna turn into a really, really, really good flaky pie crust. Look at how nice this is. Okay, let's keep going. All right, our oven just got done preheating. Oh, perfect. All right, I'm looking for 1/4 of an inch in thickness. And I'd say this is pretty much what we're looking for. It's not the perfect circle, but it's great, right? So now what we're gonna go ahead and do very gently, we are gonna grab our pie pan. We're gonna go ahead and place this in, all right? I'm gonna place this the other way. And you're just gonna go ahead and form that. Now a trick to this, get messy by the way. What you're gonna do, trick to this, is you're gonna pull up the edge. You're gonna place your finger right in the crevice. And you're just gonna fit that right into this mold. All right? And do this all the way around. You'll notice that we have lots of extra on the sides. That's okay. We're gonna talk about that in a little bit, okay? So get that nice in. Beautiful, 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 beautiful. All right. Now the next thing that I'm gonna go ahead and do is I'm gonna go ahead and take some sharp kitchen shears, and I'm gonna go ahead and trim this all the way up to the edge. All right? Just like so. It doesn't have to be perfect, and I'm gonna talk about that in 1 second once I get done cutting all this excess dough off. Now, what could you do with this excess dough? Well, That's a good question, actually. That excess dough could be used for nice little ornaments, maybe a turkey per se, right? Or we could do a nice little holiday leaf as well, okay? Now, you'll see that I went ahead and have that trimmed up. Right now, I'm not gonna go ahead and use this. It's too much that I have left over, but I am gonna save this and freeze this for another day. This can be frozen for up to 3 months, or if you hold it into your fridge, it can be up for 5 days, okay? 3 to 5 days. Now, moving forward, I'm just gonna go ahead and make sure that everything is just nice and neat. Now, I'm really not worried about crimping my edges. You know how you possibly can see those beautiful little line marks that have been done before. Now, I'm not really gonna do that with this, and the reason I'm not doing that is because this is a buttered crust, and it will shrink as it cooks, okay? Now, going forward, what I'm gonna do, I have put this in all of your doggy bags. I'm going to take a piece of parchment paper. I am gonna go ahead and do a rough little circle. Doesn't have to be perfect. It's the best thing about homemade stuff. Nothing ever has to be perfect, right? Discard that. Now, we're gonna take this, it's got like white gloves on. I'm gonna crumple it up, okay? Now, what's really important is that we really wanna weigh our actual pie down, okay? We don't really want it to puff up because since we put so many layers of that butter in between the layers of the dough, basically almost a laminated dough, but not quite. So it's gonna pop up regardless, even when we poke it with forks, okay? So now that I have this, I'm gonna pull this right back out. The reason we crunch it is so that it can actually fit a lot better rather than having to fiddle with it, okay? So now you'll see that I've got this. What I'm gonna do is before I go ahead and put anything in, I'm gonna go ahead and take a knife and some flour, and I'm gonna go ahead and puncture it. And I'm gonna go all the way around, right? All right, now I'm gonna go ahead and put this back in. I'm gonna grab my weights and we'll be right back. All right, now normally what the type of weight that you wanna go ahead and put in your pie pan, what I can recommend, something that I've always got on hand, are either beans or rice. Well, unfortunately right now all I've got is oats. It's not as heavy, but it's still gonna do the job. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and pour this right in, and I'm gonna fill it up. You can already see the weight is taking place. I'm gonna push it all the way up to the sides because I really, really, really want to get that in place, okay? I don't want any movement from my pie to pop up around the sides or on the bottom, all right? Now, what I'm gonna do is I've already got my oven preheated to 375 degrees. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab a sheet pan with a baking sheet right on it. I'm gonna go ahead and place this right on top of the sheet pan, and I'm gonna put it in the oven for 10 minutes. 10 minutes. 10 minutes only. Why 10 minutes? Because all we're doing is par baking it, and that's it, and then we're gonna leave it alone, okay? So we'll be right back in 10 minutes. All right, it's been 10 minutes. Let's go ahead and pull out our pie crust, and then we'll go from there. Cool? All right, I'm gonna take you right over here. You're gonna see right now that I am pulling it out. Now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and take you right over to the next area. You can see that I've cleaned my workstation, no more flour. I'm gonna go ahead and take this right over here. Be careful, it is hot. And I'm gonna go ahead and remove this. And what I want is, I want everything to go ahead and cool. Now you can see automatically that it has already pulled back, which is fine, it's perfect. That's what happens when we have a buttered crust, right? And the reason that happens is because when we've got that much butter, it solidifies, it goes down, it melts, it does everything, right? So all the juices just commingle together. It's really, really, really good, okay? So after you went ahead and have done this, what you're gonna do is go ahead and let this cool off completely on a wire rack. And then you're gonna go ahead and wrap this with cellophane or saran wrap. and go ahead and wait until the next day so we can go ahead and utilize it then. All right, so that, so that being said, go ahead and look out for tomorrow's video, which will be on Wednesday. And we're gonna go ahead and do the pie filling, utilizing the actual pumpkin puree that we went ahead and made on the first video of this little mini series. And then we're gonna go ahead and commingle and put everything together and then have a beautiful homemade pumpkin pie, maybe with a little bit of whipped cream. All right, we'll see you next time. Have a great day.